Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Good vibes as we get ready to talk LSU into the win against the Missouri Tigers. My name is Bryce Koon, Go 24/7 staff writer over here and podcaster. And, we got the LSU helmet in the background. You see the helmet up there? Big win. Anyone catch that Miami game? The Miami Georgia Tech game, by the way? Nuts, bonkers, absolutely crazy. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We're live here on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like the Facebook page. Get your comments in. I got my man Ralph Leary in the background. He's going to be manning the behind the scenes, the comments, the questions as we talk about today's episode. Did they find something here that they can work with? And we're going to talk about that here on tonight's show. Thanks so much for tuning in once again. Let's rock and let's get ready to roll. Jayden Daniels. Let's start it off, folks. The guy's elite. People have harped on him. People have talked about the inability coming into the season to be able to throw the ball consistently deep down the field. But Mr. Daniels has done a fantastic job, not only just blocking out the noise, I'll say, but he's done a fantastic job when we get to the fact of winning a game for your team. He finishes the final stat line 15 of 21, 259 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 130 yards and a touchdown, averaged 8.7 yards per carry. Look, I think I agree. A lot of people, don't love the Robert Griffin III as an announcer and everything, and I understand it. I get it. I understand where it's coming from. I will tell you this: there is a real reason to why this young man and RG3 said it. Jayden Daniels needs to be in the Heisman conversation. When you look at the numbers compared to other Heisman candidates, there are parallels. When you look at the numbers of this offense, there are parallels and starting to potentially get to, I don't think they're obviously there yet of what the 2020 or the 2019 team was able to do. That being said, there are some pieces here that you can sit here and say, wow, this group is really, really producing at a high level. Now, look, we're going to talk about the offense as a whole. But Jayden Daniels being an elite quarterback is something that a lot of fans wanted to see. The media wanted to see it, and he has answered the bell. We get a look at some of the, obviously statistics of what he was able to do. A fantastic job. I love that this was a game where Tigers got down early. That's a generic statement in this game, both Missouri and LSU. 22-7 is the score. And he didn't panic. And I think it's not just the elite athletic ability. It's not the arm strength that he has shown more and more. For me, it is what's in between the years. It's the growth that we have seen from year one and year two under Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly, and his ability to take failures, take struggles, compartmentalize them, and move on. That's what makes an elite quarterback. Now, listen, a lot of LSU fans are going to want to compare and say, well, he's no Joe Burrow. Nobody really is at the college level. That's how good Joe Burrow was. But does Jayden Daniels deserve the credit that he has earned? Heck yes, he does. He's earned it, like I just said. Throwing for 259, no interception this game, a 71% completion percentage. He's completing more of his passes. Overall, I think that he's doing a fantastic job when you see the ability to make big plays. He had 6 plays of 15 yards or more when we talk about passing. Those are what quantify there as an explosive play in the passing game. So I absolutely love what Daniels brings to the table as a quarterback, what he brings to the table as a leader for this offense, because we get into the other weapons. This offense is really, really becoming super scary. And the reason I say that is obviously we know Daniels is elite. Brian Thomas, had some drops. He had 1 drop. He was targeted 5 times. He did catch 4 balls for 66 yards and a touchdown. One, I'll say this, where people might be kind of down on what Brian Thomas did, the guy still had 4 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. That's still a really good day at the office for a number 2 receiver. Malik Neighbors, 6 catches, 146 yards and a touchdown. He had a long of 39. He was targeted 10 times and 62 yards after the catch. Neighbors is making himself a lot of money getting ready for next year at the next level. The biggest piece that makes Jayden Daniels elite and has helped, I think, it's helped ease the burden in this offense is Logan Diggs, a career high 134 yards on 24 carries, averaging 5.6 a pop. it's the number one bell cow tailback that LSU arguably has not had a guy like that, and a guy that can really be dynamic. Dare I say 2019 LSU with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, when you really kind of look at what they've been able to do as a game changer in the backfield, yeah, they've had some names, they've had some faces, but they haven't had a guy that they've been able to just depend on to do so many different things out of the backfield. So just, absolutely love what this offense is doing. I think that Logan Diggs is a guy that is going to continue to get stronger as this season goes on, and that speaks volumes about the ability to really press into a team. The one thing I wanted to, relay as we get done talking about Jayden Daniels in this offense, I will give you a couple more stats, but something that can't really be quantified is the heart, the grit, and the determination and just the will to win and play that Daniels has. Look, there's moments in a season, and especially this season for LSU, where you can sit and say it'd be easy for you to lie down and give up. When you're down 22-7 on the road, things haven't been going your way this year. There's not really a chance to make a college football playoff, or it's very slim to none. It's going to be really hard to make it to Atlanta. And you go down by 15 points like that. And, this is more of the fan and the media speak on this side. And you also know that your defense has not really been very good or at all. And we talked about this last week on the show in stopping anybody. It's really easy just to lie down. The resolve that this team had to come back into this game, came back from 15 points down. The last time they did that was against Auburn on the road last year. They were down 17-0 and ended up winning that football game on the road. It shows the leadership capabilities and the qualities of Jayden Daniels as the guy under center. And I don't think there's a more qualified guy to be under center for this team. Daniels has proved his worth as the quarterback. This offense is going to go as he does. And when he goes, ladies and gentlemen, he's just responsible, I'm going to do quick math here, for 389 yards out of the 533 that you put up as an offense. That's pretty good. You're talking about 60% of the yards that he put up was accounted, or the yards that he put up accounted for 60% of the total offense. A couple more numbers. LSU 6 for 12 on third downs. Of course, you'd like to be over 50%, but 50% is still a really, really good idea in that. 23 first downs. They averaged 8.1 yards per play, 17.3 yards per completion, 6.4 yards per rush. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone. And one more thing on this offense that I really liked was the time of possession. You won the time of possession battle 32-27. But what really made the difference for me in this game is you played a full 60. You had to. Love seeing that out of this team because I think there's going to be more games down the stretch, and you can look at your LSU football schedule, your magnet schedule on your refrigerator if you want to, and probably point those games out that you think are going to come down there to the end. That being said, the resolve this team showed, I really, really like where this offense is going. It's a sky high is the limit. Daniel said this past week that he thinks this could be an offense that continues to trend upwards, continues to even reach a new level. It's really scary to know what that looks like. I think it means guys like Mason Taylor continuing to get involved, guys like Chris Hilton. Does Aaron Anderson come back? Does Kyron Lacey show flashes? He had a catch for 20 yards. He was targeted 3 times. All of those things being said, really like what the Tigers are able to do offensively. You won this game in large part to what they were able to do and the ability to be able to score consistently. This is something when you look at their drive charts, we're not going to count the last drive because there were 2 seconds on the clock after the missed field goal. You just took a knee. It is what it is. You bookended this game with 2 punts. You punted on the first drive and you punted on your true last drive. So it's one of those things that, and I think I'm actually incorrect in that. I think that I'm sorry. You went for 4th down. So you punted twice in this game. Starting with drive number 2 and going into the third to last drive of the 4th quarter, you went touchdown, punt, field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal attempt, touchdown, touchdown. It's consistency. That's what it is. It's the ability to, once this offense gets rolling, there's not really many teams that can stop them. And it's going to put LSU in a great position to win, I'll say it, double-digit football games this year. It's going to put them in a position. There's a lot of factors that still have to happen for them to be able to do that, but I really like it. Jayden Daniels is elite. It's just, bar none, it is what it is. The guy is a gamer. Had someone text me and said, how does this fan base not just love this guy? But I'm telling you, man, this is a really, really special guy under center, and it's really fun to watch. If you haven't already, you need to get down to Tiger Stadium. There's only one more road game, and it's in Tuscaloosa. The next six, I think it's 6 out of the next 7 or 5 out of the next 6 games are all inside Tiger Stadium there in Death Valley. So you got to be a part of it because this offense is going to be able to put up numbers. And we'll talk about that in a second. Let's move on to the defense, though. Defense. Did the defense do enough? They did just enough in this game. And it begs the question of, is it enough going forward? We've talked about on the show, and if you've been a part of the channel, if you haven't, make sure to hit that subscribe button, set up notifications for when we release new content. Once again, we go live every single Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central, to kind of give our final thoughts on the game and look ahead. Defensively, it wasn't pretty in the first half. We can all agree on that. Bad angles. You had, just didn't really tackle well. But if they can get stops, and a great comment there from Steve, who talks about, if the defense could just give them the ball 2 or 3 more times a game. I agree, Steve. Can they do enough? They did enough in this game. And look, we take a look at the drive chart for Missouri. Let's just start there. First quarter, they scored on 3 of their first 4 drives, okay? Now, the one they didn't was a Harold Perkins interception. Harold Perkins is becoming more comfortable in coverage. That is a very good sign for this defense. If you're going to play 3 linebackers on the field, Perkins is going to have to be able to cover some guys. If he knows his assignment, if he's a one-assignment guy, it's going to feel really, really nice to have him back there as he becomes more comfortable with something that he's just not really used to. I think we saw that in this game. But they scored touchdowns in their first 3 drives. They went 9 plays, 87 yards, 6 plays, 75 yards, 6 plays, 57 yards. They just they went up the field and wiped the floor with you there the first 3 drives. But you started to see some resistance. You saw a 3-and-out on the second drive of the third quarter. They scored the touchdown, but then you saw a 3-and-out and start the fourth quarter. You had the touchdown in the fourth quarter, but then you force a turnover on downs. Then you have obviously the pick 6 with Major Burns. Then they drive to try to get a field goal attempt. By that point, the game's over. What I'm trying to tell you is when you really look at this game and how it progressed, let's give you some numbers. Tail the tape here, okay? In the first half, Missouri had 25 points, 271 yards. They were averaging 5.5 yards a carry. They had 227 yards through the air. They were 2 for 4 on third downs. Now let's flip it to the second half. You outscored them in the second half, which is what LSU needs to do to win football games, 32-14. They had just 14 points. They had 256 yards of total offense, but that was an empty 256 yards. They did rush for 6.8 yards per carry, but they only had 88 total yards rushing in that second half. The big number here, they had more penalties, and third downs, they were just 2 of 7. We're going to bring it down even further. In the fourth quarter, they were 0 for 3 on fourth downs. The defense found a way, and I can't necessarily pinpoint. I think it's a lot of different things. I think we saw Mason Smith be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe we credit that to the addition of Pete Jenkins coming in and teaching some of that hand placement and the violence that you have to have. Maybe there was a come to Jesus meeting between, this staff and Mason Smith of what he needs to be able to provide. Maybe he just feels more comfortable coming off an ACL injury. That being said, the defense did just enough. Where I stand with this defense and kind of going forward is I don't think, and Ralph, we can go to the next topic here, because where does LSU go from here? The defense did just enough. We gave you some of the stats. I do not think that this secondary is going to improve. It's a personal opinion. I don't think that there is much there for you to be able to improve upon. We are officially halfway through the college football season. You're 6 games in. What can you truly get better at? I don't know if there's a fix on the back end. There is way too much talent up front for you to play like you have been playing. You can improve in that. And by virtue of improving up front, you then alleviate some of the pressure off the back end. Yeah, look, there's still some bad tackling. There's still some really bad angles. There's over aggression. There's simply the inability to cover consistently. All of those things are very, very true and very, very real. That being said, this defense just has to find a way to be good enough. You can't be in the 100 teens and win a championship. And I'm not saying they're going to win a championship this year. I don't think they do. But if you could just find a way to play like in the 70s, the 60s and 70s of total defense for the rest of the season, you can get to 9 wins, 9 or 10 wins, because this offense is that legitimate. Love the resolve, like I talked about, to be able to bounce back. It's going to depend on this front seven. I've made this a point. I don't think 40 needs to come off the field. Weeks does not need to come off the field. Let him learn. He is the most fundamentally sound guy that you have at the linebacker position. Let him learn on the job, because him learning on the job right now is better than the other option that you have. If it's Greg Penn and Omar Spates that you want to rotate over there, if it's just you want to use Spates as a straight up backup and you want to use Greg Penn as the guy opposite of Weeks, if that's the case, let's roll with it, and let's really dive into that. Front seven wise, I want to see Deshaun Womack continue to get more reps. I like what Ovia Gofu, how he played in this game at times. Overall, this team has to find a way to play just consistently average football on this side on this side of the football. Consistently average defense. If you can do that, you're going to win a lot of games. So where does LSU go from here? Now, obviously, a lot of folks know Auburn's coming into town. The line opened at 11 points in this one. That scares the crap out of me. I'm not taking that, because I'll tell you this right now. Auburn hasn't shown an ability to consistently throw the ball on you. But this game between Auburn and LSU is traditionally full of the voodoo. It's full of the witchcraft. It's full of the magic that you either don't like or you do like at the end of the game. And obviously, LSU wants to like that at the end of the game. You got to find a way to consistently stop them running the football. That's something LSU has done not a great job of. I need to see some better assignment sound football, filling gaps. I thought that was something that Missouri was able to exploit. And look, you got to give Missouri credit. Like, Luther Burden is a bona fide star. The kid's going to be a day one pick probably in the NFL draft if he decides to leave. I think he's only a sophomore, so I don't think he can leave. That being said, defensively, you went up against a quarterback that's not flashy, but man, he's efficient. He's really, really efficient in what he does. And Brady Cook. Brady Cook finished this game with 2 interceptions, but he was 30 of 47 for 395, quarterback rating of 140. Cody Schrader, who was a Division II football player a couple seasons ago, 13 carries, 114 yards. They averaged 6.3 a pop on the ground. You're going to have to clean some of those things up. So that being said, really, really like where LSU was able to get in the sense of finding some type of something to build off of defensively. Look, there's still a lot of problems, and we're not going to get on here and we're not going to sunshine pump it, to what it is not. This is not a great defense. It's really not a good defense. When I graded this team out, I said it was an A- effort, because I'm going to be staunch on giving just a straight up A, on an offensive effort. This was really, really close in that sense. I gave it a C+ for defensively, because I think this defense, the couple things they did, and I want to make sure that I get this out here right, because this is what this defense did, in my opinion. The interception from Harold Perkins, like we said, showed encouraging signs about his ability to play the position in coverage. Major Burns' pick 6. I still think there's a lot of things that Burns needs to improve upon, especially in coverage. But it was the big play that they needed. This team hasn't forced a lot of turnovers. Forcing Missouri to turn over on downs, throw the interception, and a missed field goal on the final 3 possessions, it showed a lot about the character, the desire, and the thing that Brian Kelly has mentioned, the pride that this team has, and they want to be better. It's the talent's not all there for them to be, all world necessarily, or to be a, legendary Bears defense like Kelly mentioned in the postgame presser. But there's still major work, and there's still major work to be done. But overall, I think that if you're realistic and you come back and you take the 30,000 foot view approach to this, this is really what you could have asked coming into this game. I need you to make momentum shifting plays. And that's what they did defensively with the stops that they made. And they might just be a defense that's going to have to rely on those. When they don't have them, it's Ole Miss, it's Florida State, it's Arkansas. When they do have them, it's Missouri. You hope you have a lot more games like Missouri. You hope you have a lot more games like that defensively. So, hey, look, absolutely fantastic show tonight. Appreciate you so much for tuning in. My name's Bryce Koon. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Had a ton of fun talking LSU, Missouri. Now, going forward, going to be a fun game inside Death Valley this weekend against Auburn. They've got Army and then a much-needed bye week coming here in a couple of weeks that I think is just going to really benefit this team before they make that trek to Tuscaloosa to take on a team that really LSU's fighting. It's survive and advance. You're fighting for your SEC West lives and postseason opportunities. And look, they did it last year. Can they do it again? I think it's got to look different. I do believe it's going to have to look different how they're going to do it, but it's going to be very, very interesting to watch. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Head over to Go 24/7 for all the latest and greatest content. We'll catch you next time here on the Go 24/7 podcast.